You're watching the Team Nerd Tech Show with your hosts, Tim Gillen and Ruthy Kierlin.
Well, hello, nerds, and welcome once again to the Team Nerd Tech Show. This is your host, Tim Gillen, Terrapin Networks, Traverse City, Michigan, talking small business tech stuff. This is our weekly digest on all things nerdy that have to do with your team nerd at your company and what you might want to think about as a business owner. Joining me this week as my co-host this week and every week from Queens, New York, Ruthy Kerwin. Hello, Ruthy. How are you?
Hello, Tim. I'm good. We have a special guest today. I'm excited.
Yeah.
So with us here today is Tamara Shoemaker, who is the director at the Center for Cybersecurity and Intel Studies, and she is also the founder of the Michigan CyberPatriot program. So welcome, Tamara. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thanks for having me. Like I said, I'm always very excited to talk about CyberPatriot program.
Excellent. Well, yeah, can you fill us in a little bit on what it is exactly?
Sure. The CyberPatriot program was put together 12 years ago and started out with just 8 teams down in Florida playing a little cyber competition against each other. It grew to become an international program. And in 2015, I decided that we in Michigan needed to be brought into the game. And so I got involved. And that's why we're here today.
Very cool. Can you explain to me, how do these games work exactly? So how does a cyber game work?
So CyberPatriots, the competition piece, works with a team of 2 to 5, either middle school or high school kids.
Okay.
And they get presented with an iteration virtual Microsoft operating system for a small business, or a Linux operating system for a business. And then they also have Cisco and AT&T challenges and other kinds of cybersecurity challenges as well along the way in sort of a question and answer form. But the 2 operating systems, they have to go in and they have to secure those operating systems, make sure there are no vulnerabilities, make sure all of the cybersecurity things are all locked down and hardened so that they're safe online.
Oh, that sounds so cool, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, tell me again how long it's been going on for?
So this is its 12th season.
12th season, wow.
We have, and there are 2 different divisions. So there's the open division, which is the division that I'm working in, and supporting and trying to grow across Michigan. And that could be a middle school, a high school, a Boy Scout troop, a Girl Scout troop, a rec center, a church group, any of those kind of folks in that age range between middle school and high school. And then they have the all service division, which is where it originated, which is in the all service things where ROTC, Air Civil Patrol, those kinds of folks are all going against each other in that division.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
So this is all seen as it's kind of used as a sport, but also as a pretty deep level of training, it sounds like.
Correct. So in the beginning, they also have 3 levels of play so that anybody can get into this game. So from I barely know how to use my computer to the geeks that are reverse engineering everything they can get their hands on, right?
Uh-huh.
So the 3 levels of silver, gold, and platinum are set up so that, like I said, anybody can get into it. So in that beginning, you're really only getting the awareness in the beginning, starting sort of your cybersecurity skills set. And then as you move through it and go into it, it gets real complicated real quick. And then at Nationals, it's a really cool thing. Nationals, the top 28 teams in the country go head to head, and that's the only time you travel. It's the only time you go anywhere. The rest of the season, which is November to April, is completely all online and virtual and in that space. But when you are the top 28 teams, they fly you in, no expense paid, no expense for the team or the coach or their chaperones. They're flown into Baltimore. They have the national champions where they go head to head. And at that point, they're given a company to secure. And that company has to operate business. And AT&T, IBM, Facebook, everybody's there at the party, and they're all interjecting all kinds of issues and problems. They also have a red team that go after them too, and it's the same folks that do the scoring engine for this and that do the red teaming things that do this for college level competition. So it's a really, really intense kind of a couple of day period, and it's an amazing event.
Well, I bet that is.
And that starts with kids as young as kindergarten?
So that's the beauty of this program is that we have kindergarten through 5th grade. We have awareness games that are completely free to anybody who wants to download them. So that includes parents. So parents and teachers and school ISDs can download these games for free. There are 3 of them, and they're all age appropriate. So there's ones for kindergartners and ones all the way up to 5th grade. And they play these video games, and they're learning cyber awareness and how to keep themselves safe. And the really nice part is that they've also got talking points for the teachers or the moms and dads as well that are included. And they get little tokens for, winning and being involved and that kind of stuff so that they can feel proud about what they've learned.
And how long are the classes at that age level? Like, how long would they be playing?
It's a game. It's an actual game. So it's
okay. I should have said game. Excuse me.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. So it's really however long that people want to play it, right?
Okay.
So it's a regular old. I mean, it's a video game. It's not high end graphics and amazingness, right? Because this is put together by the AFA for free for kids, but it really does a good job of getting them used to. They're already playing video games, and now they're playing one that they can actually learn some things, how to be safe.
Very cool. I have a kindergartner. I am definitely looking into that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And those games are hosted online, so the parents don't need to load up any software. They basically go out to a URL, make an account, and are able to participate.
No, actually, they do download. So they do download, and they do that on purpose so that they could be downloaded into a school system, right? So we're very careful about school systems and how they're locked down and that kind of thing. Now, this is the AFA, this is a national program, so they're very, very careful about the security of that download. They have a whole some kind of a exercise you go through afterwards and that kind of stuff. So they take this stuff really serious. They actually practice what they preach here on cybersecurity.
What is the AFA?
So the AFA is the Air Force Association. So it's not the actual Air Force. It's the sort of after you retire and people who are supporters of that kind of thing.
Okay.
Because they originated in the Air Cadets and the ROTC and that kind of thing. They are the ones who did that, put it together. But they in no way push, becoming involved in the armed services at all in this game. We are very fortunate they put it together because they put it together with precision. We're able to pick it up and take it, and I can spread it across the state of Michigan easily and implement it easy because they have taken so much time and care putting this all together.
And these are largely experienced people out of the Air Force or ROTC, as you mentioned, but some retired, but who are staying active in cybersecurity with the stuff they learned in the military. Is that
correct? Absolutely. And that's the reason it's so nice and easy to implement for me, right? Some of these other things that you can find online might be a little bit more harder for us to do. Like, for instance, the fact that like here in Michigan, we do a ton of the robotics piece, and it's a wonderful program, but it's really costly. And there's an awful lot of logistics involved because teams have to go away for weekends and compete. This is all been done to make sure that it's very, very inclusive, right?
Sure.
So it's very, very inexpensive to run. It's only $205 for a team to run, and it's a whole season. And you really can get a whole year of teaching and working on this out of that $205 for a season.
That's amazing.
That is amazing.
And then it's only it's $165 for the middle school. And like I said, if you're that top tier 28 folks that get flown to nationals, it doesn't cost you anything. There's no bake sales involved. There's no, they fly them in and house them and the competition. Now, there's a probably good reason for that, right? All of the sponsors for this are all of the folks that are very aware that we need to train more people and get more people into this pipeline if we ever hope to secure all of the things that we have to secure in our infrastructure. And so they're, of course, all at nationals going through, following
I was hearing that when you were
careers.
saying that. Sure.
Absolutely.
Sure.
And saying, that fellow looks really good at this.
I'm sure.
I think she might fit right in. They also get scholarships and awards at that. And but like I said, I felt like when I was there, that's definitely a feeding frenzy for all the partners.
For the good talent.
Well,
absolutely.
And in a good way, both direct and indirect recruiting, like you say, people to keep an eye on, as well as some of the high school, early college level where they might want to start talking very directly to them.
Most definitely. That's one of the things I take advantage of when we work both the competition and the summer camp is I start to plant the seed about this pathway, how many different ways you can get to where you want to get to, where all the resources are, really, really good resource for kids and parents planning. If kids have an aptitude for this and this is something that they are interested in, the NIST Framework done by NIST, is our government's way of putting together a workforce framework for CyberPatriot.
Mm-hmm.
And there's 32 flavors of different kinds, and then you can drop down to all of the job titles under that, and then you can drop down even lower and find out what are the skills and abilities, that kind of thing. So these are not things that they would normally just run into. And so we make a conscious effort to show all these resources and all the different pathways that you have. And we're able to do that in Michigan wonderfully because we have this seamless coalition of community colleges and universities that are all teaching cybersecurity, that are all kind of working together on this project. They live with it, right? It's their culture now. So what my big goal, my other main goal, is to change the culture a tiny bit and make them aware of the security issues that they have to carry. Now, obviously, I don't want to do that in any kind of scary way. And so when this opportunity was brought to me, it was like, this is perfect. We do it in game form, something they're already naturally doing, and we can change that culture. I don't know about you, but I know I'm from a generation where seatbelts were not a thing. It became a thing, that one-armed soccer mom save was how you saved your kid. But now now my grandchildren won't let me out of the driveway unless I have my seatbelt buckled, right? They tell me that it needs to be buckled.
It's native and cultural to them.
Perfect. And I think that's a perfect example for this
That's a very good example.
This is exactly what I would like it to be with them. I want them to know that when they go online, that they're safe and that they know some protocols and they're easy. They're not. And I also want to demystify this.
Yep. Anybody can put together a group who wants to. Then I'm not. But primarily, it's at the school side. Is that what you're seeing?
Yeah, primarily, for sure. Because they have the teachers there that are willing to do an after school program, and many of them are taking that after school program and taking that curriculum and bringing it into the classroom. Right.
Sure.
We have in Michigan. We now have a new computer science standard that the teachers have been given, and so the nice part about this is this delivers like 3/4 of the standard.
Oh, perfect.
Right there. In fact, we were able to put together digital badging. I don't know if you know what digital badging is.
No, I don't.
So it's a bit of a micro credential for students, right? So they are able to show, they have each badge represents a certain amount of different kind of knowledge unit that they know.
Oh, very cool.
And then they earn those badges. We're the first in the country, by the way, for CyberPatriot badges. It's been thought about. It's been talked about. It's been thrown around. But our Michigan Department of Education is really, really forward thinking when it comes to those micro-credentialing and those digital badges. And so they asked if we would put those together. So we were able to do that. And so now they'll be able to put that on their resumes. They can put it on their LinkedIn, Facebook, all the social media. It can be blasted out. They can print it out like you would normally a certificate and put it in their portfolios for when they move, when they go through to college and their first job, that kind of stuff. Yeah. And CyberPatriot, because it is an international program now, employers are looking for it. They know that while in high school, these are things that can get accomplished and that those kids are going to have a leg up. And it just does show all those pathways, right? And how they all work together. That's why I was just been so excited about doing this. It's easy to implement, so I can go ahead and ask a teacher maybe who doesn't, she was tapped or he was tapped to do the IT stuff, but it's like, I'm just barely getting my arms around it.
Right.
And it's so affordable as well.
It's ridiculously affordable when you consider all that. I mean, even if we've gone up and down, and some years we've had funding from the Michigan Department of Education. Some years we haven't. This year we don't have it. But if you think about it, $205. If there's a 5-person team, that's $40 a kid.
Yeah.
There isn't too many things that you can think of that is designed in this fashion and for as long. These kids can also play like all year round. So the thing starts in October and ends in March, you can sign right back up again for the next year and do practice rounds all summer long in preparation for the next year.
I bet, and there's summer camps and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, then we run summer camps.
Yeah, so tell us about the summer camps too then.
So the summer camps are an amazing unawareness piece, right? So it's basically for middle school and high school kids. We get a venue and we bring in some our coaches and our mentors to come in and teach these classes, and it's a half-day summer camps for 5 days. And what we're doing is we're preparing them to be able to play the game. So on the Friday they actually play the game the whole time. Mm-hmm. And we get standing room only. I mean, when we put this out there, the need is out there, and the kids are definitely looking for this kind of activities. And so when we have a venue and we're able to do it, we have, a ton of kids come, and it just does our hearts good to see all these kids get so excited about this stuff. And the really, really nice thing is you get every skill level. Well, so while it can be sometimes a little challenging for our coaches and mentors who are teaching, for me it's exciting because I see these kids who, the kid who comes in with his, his thumb drive and wants to quick grab a copy of the game because he's going to go home and reverse engineer it, right. Which we don't let them do. Right. And then the kids who barely, right. Mom wanted them to be doing something in summer and they signed them up for this, and then suddenly they're interested. I had a kid.
Yeah. Oh, I can see that happening. Absolutely.
It's ridiculous. The way they blossom over that week.
Yeah.
We jam them full of really cool information and really get them a ton of stuff at, over a week's period. But by the end of that, on that Friday, they are enjoying it. Each team has their own music playing, and we give them snack food, and they just go at it. And then you see them they've been students all week long, and suddenly at the end of the week, they're this team. Yeah. And they all are, taking turns being the pilots, which we call sort of the person who's behind the keyboard, right?
Okay.
Yep.
And it's like a tagging in and tagging out. No, I know how to do that. Get out of the way. I'm going to come in. And they get in there, it's like, hey, I don't know how to do this. Get on there and research that, it's amazing to see how interactive and how excited they get.
And
I wish something like this was around when I was in high school. I don't know if I would have, but I certainly know a lot of people who would have.
No, I mean, I can't tell you. I can't tell you the amount of people that say that in this, especially when I'm going to all those associations where we, all our lovely nerds are hanging out and we're all working it. They say, oh, why wasn't this here when I was younger?
I know.
Right. Yeah. Well, it is here now. And so that's basically, your kids who say, oh, Dad's a nerd, I don't want to do what he's doing. And then they suddenly come to one of my camps and think, dang, this is pretty cool.
Actually, it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, I have a kindergartner who's really interested in computers now, and she's got a book on coding that she loves to read.
Sweet.
And she's just starting to figure this kind of stuff out for herself. So gosh, the fact that it starts as young as 5 or 6, that's amazing. Yeah.
Well, like I said, my 2-year-old was shoulder surfing his grandpa. Yeah. So, I mean, we got to start just as soon as we can.
And my 3-year-old's not far behind the 6-year-old.
Yeah. Well, all the screen time and all that. There's no reason to wait. Absolutely.
Well, and the other parts that we haven't touched on a little bit is just the ethics of just because you can doesn't mean you should. And that's really, really pushed really hard in this because
that's a very good point. Yeah.
We really want to have digitally responsible adults. Mm-hmm. And we don't want kids to get into any trouble or have bad things happen to them early on. And so we give them the tools to protect themselves and to understand why those rules are. I always joke about if these kids, when they all grow up, if they've all gone through this program in high school, in middle school and high school, and my dream is complete that all schools in Michigan have this program. When they grow up and you as a security professional tells them don't open emails that you don't know where they came from, they're going to know why. They're going to know. They're not going to just go.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
they're not going to say, why are you, harshing my buzz here? I wanted to see what it was. I didn't know, it looked interesting. I thought I'd maybe, click on it.
What's the big deal or anything like that? Yeah. Right. And they would understand what the big deal is and the implications of that.
There's scary things out there that I also want them to know about. So in our camps and in our things, we talk about, thinking before you act, right? So downloading all these free apps. Oh, they're so amazing. They're free. And I ask them a question. Do you ever look at the privacy policies? Do you ever look at what you're signing away for?
You are speaking our language right now,
Tamara. Even as adults, we don't really want to do that.
We don't.
But when you look at them, and so for instance, you download a flashlight app to help you see, and it says it wants to have your location. Why on earth does my flashlight need
your
to
microphone
know where I am?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, right.
So these kids are just going click.
Or
I want to get the free.
Right. We had a show a while back when everybody was downloading Face app and changing all of the faces of their friends and everything, and everybody looks like they were 90 years old. And then it turns out it was put together by a Russian team who was taking all of that information.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, and just having that knowledge that, wait a second, the pause to know that you need to take that pause.
Just because you can doesn't mean that you should is perfect.
Absolutely.
And we talked to my tech team. We've been this way for years. We kind of pride ourselves in anything we do. We should be able to say why we did it. So,
yes.
I did this, I loaded up this, I tried this, I closed down this, I opened this. Why?
Right.
You should be able to say it, because that just, for no other reason than you put some thought into it, instead of, well, because the thing came up and it said, okay, and I want to keep working.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we just click it because we just keep moving. Well, and then here it is, like you say, a flashlight app that wants to know your location and open up your photos and open up your microphone.
Why?
It's a flashlight app.
You think,
right.
Why?
Or get a hold of your contact list. How many of them say that we want to get a hold of your contact list so that we can spam all of your friends in your honor?
Right, yes.
Thank you ever so much.
Yeah, thank you.
And a lot of this, Tim, kind of comes back to, putting these intrinsic kind of ideals into kids and having them understand from an early age. You and I personally on the side have been talking a lot recently about employees who bring their devices home and then bring them back to work, and whether the kids are using those at home, et cetera, et cetera. This can set us up for the situation where your kids aren't doing something untoward on your laptop that you're then bringing into work, and possibly, if you have a shared server or anything like that, this can really prevent a lot of issues going like down the road with not just teaching these kids how to do it, but keeping other businesses safe and all of that,
Well, what we talk about so often goes back to what I said earlier in the conversation here. What we talk about so often on our Team Nerd Tech show here is just awareness and thinking of it differently. You may not even have thought of this, but here's what's actually happening. And so this kind of awareness on the young people's side, just to, the youngs,
the youth,
kids,
the
youth, but just some way to, it's magic. Let me ask you a question about our state of Michigan. Mm-hmm. Is there a particular geographic area that this is doing more than, or are you spreading out pretty well across the state? I'll even include the Upper Peninsula in that. Can you give us some idea?
Peninsula in that.
Very nice.
Oh, good.
So in the beginning, it really was the I-94 corridor. I'm not quite certain why, but that just is. I think there's a denser population there, so that probably helps. And I'm in the Metro Detroit area, so I can't clone myself, but I am trying really hard to spread that word. But it's grown. It was that way the first couple of years, and now it's everywhere, right? So we have, like I said, 182. So we were doing it double. So that first year when we had 4, by the end of the season, I had 25. Then we had 52. Then we had 80. Now we have 182. Those successes are building on each other, right? People are hearing about it. I'm getting invited to more educational type things so that the teachers are involved. And that makes a big difference. PTAs so that the parents are involved, those kinds of things, so that we can get the word out. Doing a podcast like I'm doing right now will get the word out.
Yeah.
We had our first camp in Escanaba this year and in Traverse City this year. Coincidentally, the CyberPatriot program branched out, and we got more teams in those areas as well. So, every time we are able to do those camps in the summertime, that definitely makes a difference on the audience that we can do.
Sure.
I've always tried to make sure that everyone understands that my goal is all of Michigan.
Good.
CyberPatriot is a very inclusive program. An all-girl team is free. Title I schools are free. And so there are no barriers to getting in, right? There's not a financial barrier, and there's not, even if internet is an issue. So if you're in the middle of nowhere and the internet is a problem or whatever, AT&T will send you connectivity on them.
Fantastic.
Wow, that's amazing.
So industry knows how important this is.
Yes, of course.
Right?
Yeah.
So just
they
getting the
recognize
message.
it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Getting the message to educators know this is important as well, but they're not necessarily trained in this area. And so it's a little bit scary. So demystifying it for them, explaining to them that this is something that's been going on for 12 years. It's very repeatable. It's very easy to implement. All of that kind of stuff is going to help. But it's really important that we have coverage everywhere, because my husband always talks about, my husband is a cybersecurity. I married into this cybersecurity expert, and he's always talking about, we're not coming at the gate of your defenses.
Right.
We're going to find out where the holes are, and I don't want there to be holes in Michigan.
Well, one of the things
in our infrastructure, I want our workforce to be smart, whether they're in cybersecurity or not. All of our workforce needs to be smart, because you have that person who opens up the killer virus email attachment has absolutely nothing to do with security.
This is not industry specific.
No, not at all.
Culturally specific.
We've talked about that a lot on our show here. That if I'm a bad guy, there might be a pretty big payoff if I break into Ford Motor Company, but chances are I'm not going to get in there. There could be a really easy payoff if I break into a machine shop with 70 or 80 employees.
Yeah.
And I could get a lot of money and cause a lot of destruction very quickly. And chances are that smaller company or insurance firm with 8 people that hasn't paid much attention to this. So like your husband said, the stuff on the fringes is the low-hanging fruit these days.
Absolutely.
And so it makes sense for all of us to be aware and do what we need to do, because some of our risks, one of our common phrases, statements here is you have the same kind of risk with a small company these days as you do with a large company.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's right next door. Keep in mind, you might be up in Escanaba and you might think you're off the beaten path. You're right across the street from Malaysia and
we're
Estonia.
all connected.
Yeah.
We have to keep
absolutely.
that we're
That's the whole
all
point of it. That's the feature
Yep.
of it. It's not a bug, but we have to remember that that's part of so we think we're off the beaten path. We're not. And Traverse City, of course, is where we are. I was in Escanaba last weekend, which is a haul from here. It's about 85 miles as the crow flies, and takes about 4.5 hours to drive it because you got to go around.
Yeah.
But it's a nice
it's the
town.
same thing. I mean, case in
on.
point, I'm in New York City right now.
Yeah.
We're literally next door to each other. So you're in
Right.
Traverse City, I'm in New York City, and you're in Detroit. Like, here we are on a Zoom call. And it's as if we're in the same room. So just keeping that knowledge of the closeness
we're all
of
connected.
everybody
Yeah,
together.
we're all connected.
Yeah, absolutely.
We are all connected. And I don't want to just, have just my graduates that are coming out of graduate school know how to do this stuff. I
Right.
want my kindergartners
It's much
coming out of
broader.
school.
Mhm.
Well, I also know that these shiny new pennies, I get so excited when I'm working with them. Well, they're making the innovation that we are going to have. They can also bring the solutions that we'll need.
Yes.
And so if they don't
Very
know
good
that
point.
that's something that they need to work on, that the innovation and for innovation's sake is the only thing you need to work on, without the security piece, we're going to continue to have the same problem. We'll keep snapping it on at the end instead of baking it in from the beginning.
Right.
If these kids are learning in kindergarten that these are things that you need to worry about, then they're not going to invent something that's going to bust us and make us more vulnerable than we began. So my CyberPatriot kid came to me and said, I want to take this stuff and I want to go to a senior home and I want to teach seniors how to be safe.
That's amazing.
So because this was already all put together by the AFA, that was just one more of their programs in CyberPatriot is Cyber Generations, he was able to, over the summertime, do a series of 5 sessions with Westland Cyber Center. And help those seniors get up to speed on how they can take care of themselves.
And so
the beauty of this thing is that it's the kids working with the seniors, right? So if somebody closer to their age, like their own son or daughter, says, hey, Dad, don't do this on your online, he's going to say, stop treating me like a kid. But if his grandson says, hey, Gramps, I noticed that you were doing this online and, here, let me help secure what you're doing so you don't do that anymore. He's going to say, oh, thanks. That's wonderful.
I got the smartest grandkid in town. I mean,
absolutely. He's talking in the coffee shop.
Yeah,
He's
you're
telling
playing right
everybody
into the
about
grandparent pride. I love it.
Totally.
So is there a specific
Speaking as a
curriculum there?
grandfather,
Yeah,
right.
Is there a specific curriculum or something that they would be using that works to kind of target interests and understandings that the older generation would have different?
Again, it's another one of the completely free pieces that's on the
Very
AFA website. So US
would be targeted more.
So USCyberPatriot.org is the actual AFA's website, and it has all the resources for if you want to volunteer to be a mentor, to a coach, if you want to do the the Cyber Generations program, if you want to download those K through 5 games, that's all up there. I also have a website here for the Michigan CyberPatriot. So it's Michigan cyberpatriot.com, and that's for
Michigan spelled out. I'm going to make sure.
Nope, just MI cyberpatriot.
Okay, that's going to be in the show notes for this show.
And that's just for if you want to know all the local things that are going on.
Good.
Okay.
And as Ruthy just mentioned, we'll have all this on our show notes at teamnerdtechshow.com.
Mm-hmm.
So all these links will be there and stuff back to what Tamara's been doing with this group. I mean, it's just like terrific. I'm so glad we got together too.
Yes, this is so cool. It's mind blown. I think, unfortunately, that needs to be where we have to end the show because we have just packed so much information into this.
Yeah.
And gosh, Tamara, thank you so much for meeting with us today and filling us in on this incredible service and program. I can't wait to get my daughter checking this stuff out.
Oh, that's wonderful. I am honored to have been asked on this show, and I really appreciate the time and discussing this with you because, as you know, my big lift is getting the word out and letting everybody know how easy it is to get involved in this. So I do appreciate the time.
Absolutely.
For sure. Well, we will have the link to uscyberpatriot.com as well as MiCyberPatriot.com up on show notes for this episode if anybody wants to follow up with them. Well, I'm also going to throw them up in our Facebook page and on Twitter and all of that. So if anyone follows us there, they can access those as well.
And Tamara, we will stay in touch and maybe do a follow-up maybe after the first of the year as the March.
Sure, as our season continues.
Yeah.
This weekend is our first weekend. So for 6 hours, the kids are going to open up their games and start playing, and they get to decide.
How good is that?
So I'm excited. On Monday and Tuesday is when I start hearing how everybody's doing. So it's
great.
Exciting times.
Well, thanks for your time. We sure appreciate it.
Thanks.